Good afternoon, Greg Caggiano here with what will most likely be our last episode of the 2017 season, or Season 3. This will be vlog number 7, which I think is pretty good. We wanted to do these frequently, posting updates, what was going on, evidence reviews and whatnot. So to be able to do 7 of these in what was our first real season trying the whole vlog thing, I think it's gone pretty well. We've gotten a decent amount of views. Somehow there is somebody out there that wants to watch me talk for 10 minutes, so here's to you. Anyway, this will be episode 35 on the season. If you go through our episode listings like now, I mean, we've pretty much put out about 30 episodes a season, which I have to thank everybody that's involved with our series, from our investigators, Patrick, Joanne, Roy, Lou, Patty, Hunter, Brett, everybody that's been involved in this season. We haven't seen some of these guys in a long time, but everybody's busy, everybody works. I think I said that on a previous episode that it's kind of a miracle that we even have this series, just because everybody here is either a full-time worker or a full-time student, and that was Lawrence actually. I don't know if you can see him on camera or not. My cat just walked on through. So anyway, the reason for this episode is just a little recap of the season. We started out actually in Pennsylvania, not even New Jersey at all, the Burning Bridges Antique Market in Columbia, Pennsylvania, where I found this thing that looked like it was from The Conjuring, the thing that spins around that freaks the kid out in The Conjuring 2. That's my cat right there wanting to get into the garage, which he's not allowed to get into. Normally I would stop filming and redo it, but I really don't care at this point. He's... Come here. Now he's running away. Okay. Alright, so a little break in the action here. This is Lawrence. He loves being held, as you can see. It's just a little pain in the ass. So starting out in Pennsylvania with that thing from The Conjuring. You may actually see me get bit on this episode. He's not a biter, but he really does not like to be held, especially when I have his belly like that, right? Can you say hi? Say hi? All right. Okay, off you go. So that thing, and then the next episode was right back in Atlantic Highlands at the Strauss Mansion. We found this toy from the 1930s up in the attic that hadn't seen the light of day probably since the 80s when it was donated. It's called an automaton. It's creepy. That's episode 3.2. You can check that out. We shot a lot of footage at the Strauss Mansion, of course, at Brookdale Community College. We posted a couple of Paranormal Archive videos, which went way back to before Ghost on the Coast was even around, and before Haunted Travels was even around, at the Proprietary House in Perth Amboy. And we also shot some footage at the Oceanic Library in Rumson. Our coverage also extended to some of the events we had at the Strauss Mansion, such as Nosferatu, the live screening we had. We were able to film one of the scenes there and get some of the musicians involved in our episodes. So that being said, this was a great year for Ghosts on the Coast. It was our best year ever for EVP recordings, and I have to thank Patty Bakauskas for that, who's pretty much our dedicated EVP analyst. You can check out episode 3.30 for her explaining, a little bit how she does it, and sometimes she doesn't even know how she does it. We don't know. It just happens, and it's great, and we're thankful for every time we get evidence that we think is legit. So, as for the most recent set of videos at the Strauss Mansion on Black Friday, which is now about 3 weeks ago, I will explain the story one more time. It started out as a joke 3 years ago. We wanted to get together on Black Friday, kind of have like a year-end party, / investigation. So we made a joke that the ghosts will be out shopping. How busy could it be, paranormally speaking? So we went, and 3 years ago it was a great investigation. We had a ton of footage, ton of evidence. Last year's was pretty good, and then this past year was just amazing. We had EVPs, we had orbs on camera that you can see throughout some of the videos, and we even got locked in a room by a ghost. I need you to check that video out so that this next little clip will make better sense. 3.33, episode 3.33. We were filming in one of the upstairs apartments, a room that we've barely ever been in, and you can see it in the video. And if you hear crunching, Lawrence is now eating. He just has to get involved here. We asked the ghost, actually, can you make the door open? And nothing happened, and we finished filming. We go to open the door, and the door is shut. Now, there's no doorknob on the door. There is nothing that could get this door to stick in place as it happened. We've been in that room many times, and usually when we shut the door, it'll just kind of creak open because there's nothing physically there that could hold that door in place. Anyway, it was shut, sealed shut. We could not get this thing open. I had my fingers in there trying to grab it. Joanne was trying to get it as well. Couldn't get it. We were actually calling Lou and Roy, who were stationed downstairs. We were going to have them come up and kind of kick the door in to get us out of there. Where finally I found a little piece of metal up on one of the things buried in one of the drawers, and I kind of pried it in. We were not filming. This was right after we finished filming, of course. Something great happens. The cameras were not rolling, but our audio was rolling. Patty was still recording during this whole thing, and she sent me the clip of what was going on while we were trying to get this door open, just so you can kind of hear the door bouncing back and forth as we're pulling it. It was like something was holding the door in place and did not want us to leave the room.
That would have been helpful if it was on the door. This is actually really shut good. How many times have we shut this door?
Can you separate it?
It doesn't shut.
And
yeah, this usually... It's almost like something's pulling it. I swear to God, every time we shut this door and we come in here, it always opens up on its own because it's uneven.
another door.
So I guess it was true.
Can you ring him?
Yeah.
Doesn't want us to leave now.
You may have heard a phone ring in the background. That was actually Katie getting ready to call Roy to come and get us out of there. So that was one of a few recordings that Patty has sent us. The others I do want to look at and probably include next season on a kind of evidence review episode. But Patty also did some research and found something that's very interesting. When Drew, who joined us in the last investigation, who may or may not have psychic abilities, who came in and was sensing some things that made sense and went along with the evening very well, we kept getting the name Lucinda. And we did a search, or Patty did a search, on just a simple internet search trying to find a Lucinda connected to the Strauss family. And she couldn't, but she ended up finding something out that was really cool, really incredible, that we ghost hunters love. And that is Adolf Strauss's son-in-law, Joseph Abramson, actually committed suicide on the grave of his mother-in-law, Mrs. Adolf Strauss, Jeanette Strauss. So I'm going to read a brief excerpt of this article that she sent. Looks like it's from the New York Times, so this goes way back. Early 1900s. The title of the article is Produce Broker Suicide. Joseph Abramson shoots himself on mother-in-law's grave. Mental depression due to heavy losses and speculation on the produce exchange was said last night to explain the cause of the suicide of Joseph Abramson, a produce exchange broker whose body was found yesterday morning lying across the grave of his mother-in-law, Mrs. Adolf Strauss, in Union Field Cemetery on the outskirts of Williamsburg. I had heard years ago that the son-in-law had committed suicide, but I didn't really know that, and I surely did not know that he committed suicide on the grave of Adolf Strauss's wife. And to me, that's incredible, and that's something that we can now use when we investigate next season. We have never really gotten the Strausses. In all of our investigations and seances and spirit box sessions, we have never gotten Adolf Strauss or the wife, Jeanette Strauss. They were there for maybe 10 years or so. They had the house built in 1893. Adolf Strauss died, I want to say, in 1904. I may be off by a couple of years. And then apparently Jeanette, the wife, hated the house, and as soon as he died, she left and sold it. And the house has been owned by 14 different people over the years, the Historical Society being number 14. But we have never gotten them. You watch the episodes, you see, every episode it seems like we get a new name of someone, a man, a woman, a child, whatever it may be. but we have never gotten Adolf Strauss. We've never gotten Jeanette Strauss. There's no way to know if this Joseph Abramson was ever at the house, but this is something that we can now do. If we're doing a seance next season, we can maybe call for him and see if he'll come through and talk about his suicide and why he did it on top of Jeanette Strauss's grave. I mean, I only have the abstract here because you have to pay to access the whole thing through the database. But I mean, people kill themselves, but to kill yourself on top of the grave of somebody else, I mean, there's got to be some kind of symbolism there. Maybe he really loved her, or maybe he really hated her. I don't know. So it's kind of like a lead for next season. Our seasons are predominantly filmed at the Strauss Mansion, of course. I mean, we all work there in some way. So, we're going to be looking for other places to do. There's a couple in the area that I want to get to, that I want to film at, and there's a couple that, we may have to drive a distance to do. But I'd like to get some new locations in for next season. But this is something now that we can use for Season 4 of Ghosts on the Coast. When will that season be coming? Probably in the spring of 2018. We tend to take December, January, February off, and then by March everybody's ready to go get them again. So we may do some filming this month. I mean, with like the winter break, the week after Christmas. In years past, we have done investigations there. We haven't really filmed anything or shot any footage, but there may be some filming left to do this year. But for the most part, I think that's going to do it for our series this year. And we will be coming back next year, hopefully with some new things. I mean, we are excited. We're ready to go. This was, I think, the best year for Ghosts on the Coast. Not that we did an investigation that was so outstanding, but the way the EVPs have been coming in, that we've now given lectures at different locations, and people are coming out to see what we have to say and to see our evidence. And, we were in the Navasink Journal. We got some publicity there, so that's pretty cool. And I think that things they just seem like they're coming together for Ghosts on the Coast. And even if we don't do any new places, we're all very close, and we like hanging out with each other. And this is for fun. It's a hobby. I think I've said that a million times, that this is a hobby. And it's a fun hobby. But we'll try to spend as much time as we can on it. We have very busy lives, and we still try to do what we can. Anyway, that's going to do it. Want to mention everybody by name. Our investigators, Patrick Osborne, Roy Deloso, Joanne Deloso, Lou Flegger, Patty Bukowskis, Brett Bodner, Hunter Dillon. Haven't seen you two in a while. And then we have, Brian Sullivan has helped us out with some equipment. We have my buddy David Zone, who is kind of like our advisor if we have any issues, or he does some research for us from time to time. Carly Venn is our photo analyst. Tom Burke and Jeff Huber, they help us out with some historical consultation. And then there's Patrick Osborne again, who is our new co-producer, which doesn't really change anything, but we think he deserves it because he's done a great job for us. Anyway, Greg Caggiano for Ghosts on the Coast. Hope you have a very happy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, happy everything, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything, just have a good month of December. Have some Wawa coffee, wear a flannel, and happy hauntings. We will see you next time.